You would not fucking believe what I found last night. I never found this particular appropriations bill. I found it when I was looking for something else and I came across another indicator of illegal coinage that they've been doing. This is the third specific reference to illegal coinage. The other two were actual bills, but this was an amendment to the appropriations for last year, and there's a major deadlines that the continuing appropriations bills have that come up on the 21st, and we already had a round on the 14th, or no, the 11th. What the fuck happened after that, right? What was it like that night? What was it like on Saturday? So now we got a huge default coming up on the 21st, and somebody's banking on that, right? Well, in the meantime, last year in the appropriations bill that was reflected tomorrow, tomorrow's the 17th, and in the record for the 17th of last year, not only is there all this completely illegitimate invocation of classified annexes and a refusal to disclose the identity of people alleged to be involved with certain high profile national security roles, which leads me to believe that the entire previous 3 years, 2 years of Russia hacking and the Russian spies was really what I alleged it was, and that was reaffirmed with, among other things, Mark Zuckerberg's speech before Congress in 2018. That they're making a Russian IRA retirement scheme that involves black ops that function through black accounts, the dark accounts of Facebook, the dark social media. That's really when people that were political dissidents in this country were intentionally disappeared and were retaliated against for, among other things, I believe, their opposition to the rollout of the commercial sexual economy done under completely fraudulent pretenses. They wanted certain people to be a very specific kind of asset class for particular financial functions, and if they did not cooperate with the pre-engineered economic paradigm, they were identified as a national security threat. Their life was dispossessed of them, and profiles were allowed to be recapitulated as products that were sold to other people, primarily involving intercession with the healthcare sector. And the actual Russians involved and the actual Russian spies involved are not even Russian. Now, it is possible that there are other things going on, but that's not as important, I believe, right now, as the fact that on the 17th of December, in the congressional record, it says that former presidential candidate, former Green Party founding member, and former presidential candidate Ralph Nader presented a petition for articles of impeachment against the president. And there's multiple charges, and there's explication of those charges. That Ralph Nader was one of, I believe, 3 people that presented requests for articles of impeachment against Donald Trump as reflected in the congressional record of December 17, 2019. Now, who is it that's entitled to go before Congress and request articles of impeachment? My concern is that Ralph Nader is also known as being the founder of one of the world's largest consortiums of nonprofit organizations, charities. And if you have somebody that has their name at the top of or listed as founder of that many fucking charities, and he's backing his charges with his human capital, how many charities in this country have been laundering all of the horrible, toxic assets associated with Congress's refusal to hold itself fiduciarily accountable? I've been trying for 3 years now. This is the 4th year. I have been trying to get a legitimate consideration of the failure of Congress to do anything remotely legal and constitutionally required in accordance with its duties to provide for the welfare of the people. That means a congressional accounting systematology that actually provides for the people's needs, and that means dealing with fraud, graft, waste, and other problems at the least. But my original charges were that there is a pattern of racketeering activity that has allowed for the disabuse of the government in commission of actual crimes, and that they wield access to public resources that should be our constitutional rights and that should be available because we've paid taxes and we've been able to get jobs to pay taxes. They wield access to those resources predicated upon demonstrations of loyalty to individuals or their specific party positioning. And that loyalty often comes at the expense of and in the stead of anything having to do with constitutional due process, up to and including the due process of people that would be candidates for office if they weren't disappeared and stolen from. This is going on the 4th year. Did they allow for Ralph Nader to be included in the congressional record on the day they had said that the secretary, that the head of the committee, the head of the appropriations committee, was entitled to put whatever they thought appropriate into the record to support the passage of the Appropriations Act? And did they do that so that they could use, through Ralph Nader, access to all of the charities he had and or designation as the nonprofit status associated with those in his purview to launder assets while they were doing other things that are part of the congressional record associated with the precipitating events allowing for the circumstances of COVID-19? Did they launder the entire fucking country under the auspices that we needed some sort of nonprofit help because the government was so derelict in its duty that it literally was in default? And it's trying to get the rest of us and everything else we have in our life to pay for it, and they're disabusing their alleged role in intelligence to say that they aren't going to disclose, and it's a crime. It is a crime to disclose if you're being extorted into dealing drugs or distributing biological fucking weapons in order to pay off bad deals that were hooked up by corrupt politicians who didn't do anything close to their actual duties as congresspeople and senators. Is that what this says? Because that's exactly what I saw last night. That's exactly what I've been seeing ever since at least since June. And I've been seeing it, honestly, since last July when they played that really, really, really high-stakes game that got Elijah Cummings killed, and not a damn one of them said anything to stand up for one of their members of their own party. Elijah Cummings was killed because they were gambling, and they lost. And not a damn one of them said anything.